Yes. Do they go first or second? Be better. Build it up. You made it. They're better this year. No, I was talking year one. One wasn't getting. She's done this before. It's like the charm. Yeah. I like that. It takes the charm out of it that you don't need to know where like the nearest FedEx is just in case. No, that's it's like just like the last page. I was wondering if you signed second. No. No. It's actually. Yeah. So that's so Boston. Yep. Yes. Oh. Should be fixed. Yeah. Good luck. It doesn't.
All right.
There, you can put your.
Thanks, sir.
Just a reminder. Today you have to.
Broncos welcome 23 new members for the 2026 recruiting class. Coach, why don't you just start us off with your general thoughts and then we'll take some questions.
Happy National Signing Day. It's a great day to be a Bronco. We are celebrating and welcoming 23 new Broncos into this class, 18 high school signees and 5 junior college signees today. I think it's a really great class. We've got 11 on the offensive side of the ball, 11 on the defensive side of the ball, and 1 special teams player. Really excited about this class. I think, we've got great depth, across the board throughout our position groups, but also, the things that we look for from an intangible standpoint: character, competitive character, work ethic, leadership. All of those things are things that matter to me most as a head coach, and really excited to welcome these young men and their families. It's a great day for them, a day that culminates a lot of hard work on and off the field, a lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights. I reminded each one of them as we FaceTimed them this morning that, one of their first goals and dreams was to play college football and be able to go earn a college degree. And this is something that, is an honor. They're blessed. They're all excited to be Broncos, but we also have to remember that it's a blessing to be able to coach and play the game that we love at a high level. And, that's why we're here. It's now in the next chapter and phase of their life. We're going to serve and support them as student athletes here at the university, and make sure that they, 1, walk out of here with a degree, and 2, are prepared to be successful with the right characteristics and habits that it takes to be successful in life.
Just kind of curious, in the day and age where you're going to have the portal opening up and other things changing, how do you kind of approach, the number of high school recruits you want to sign, bringing in a healthy class there and having that foundation, flexible and open for just kind of how you philosophically approach that?
For me, our philosophy is pretty simple. 1, we're going to be a developmental program, so we want to, 80% of our roster is going to be made up of high school signees. I believe that 1, that's the lifeblood of our program is recruiting and our players. Having great players, 1, makes us look like great coaches, and I think that's why it's still important to do a great job in evaluating. Making sure that they're, not only a scheme fit, but also a character fit for what we're looking for. But then also, the intangibles are so critical to me. We talked about them in the opening statement, but making sure, that the character and competitive character, the work ethic, the leadership, those things stand out, because at the end of the day, those are the things when things get tough that really help carry guys through and push through adversity and tough times. And so, our philosophy is we're going to be a developmental program. We want to sign 80% of our roster as high school signees. It is much tougher right now as a head coach when it comes to roster management and how and where those pieces fit. But I challenge our coaches with, we want to go out and sign, the best high school recruiting class that we can. And then we're going to supplement when it comes to portal signings based on, roster, additions or subtractions.
That's got to be a busy week with having a game prep and also having the sort of race to signing day. How, I guess, give a chance to applaud the staff here. Just there has to have been a lot of work since we last talked to you Tuesday after Easter, getting to this point in games.
Yeah, signing day is always a busy day, whether you're, preparing for a game on Saturday, championship game or not. 1, I think our recruiting staff has done an excellent job. They really did. Throughout this, off season, and when it came to official visits, when it came to game day visits, we had more visitors on campus during this season than we have in on record in our history. And I think that's a testament to our staff, our recruiting staff, really working their tails off. Cam, Ethan, Lauren, those guys did a great job. 1, making sure that we, identified, we got the word out, we identified, and then we made sure that when they came to campus, they felt special and they felt like, their time was valued, because it is valued. If they take time out to come visit us, I want them to feel like, 1, we're treating them right. We're taking our time out to evaluate them and say hello to them, whether it's a position coach, whether it's a coordinator, whether it's a recruiting staff member, or whether it's me as a head coach. And, and so that's first and foremost. They did an excellent job. over Thanksgiving, we met as a staff. We kind of knew, hey, we're going to be preparing for the MAC championship game. We want to get a little bit ahead on recruiting. And so we took a couple of days there to carve out some time recruiting to get ahead this week. But the one thing that I'll tell you, that all the parents and student athletes, signees said as we FaceTimed them this morning, Coach, good luck on Saturday, but we're coming to win more championships. And that's the kind of character that, we've recruited. This is only the beginning, of what we want to do here. We're building something special. I think people are seeing that there's something special going on here in Kalamazoo and here at Western Michigan. And, these 23 signees are part of that, and they're part of the future that we're going to continue to build. And, kudos to our staff for this great signing class.
You mentioned like the character, bringing winners here. Was there that specific emphasis, or I know I talked to you before, just like, bringing speed to this program? Was there something that you guys really tried to carve out this particular project?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there was one quality that we looked for the most. The thing that I think we have identified, as winning traits are, great character as a human being, and then the competitive character to want to compete in everything that you do, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's, on the football field, whether it's in strength and conditioning, whether it's we're freaking playing ping pong. I want guys who want to compete in everything that they do, and they want to win at everything that they do. And I think when you find those type of guys who are willing to compete, and, that's also risking that there may be some failure there. They're willing to learn through the failures. I think that you've got something special there. You're exactly right. In year one, we identified, we really needed to improve our team speed. We went out and did that. Last year was really an emphasis on, guys who have been part of winning programs, who've been part of winning cultures, who know what it was and help bring that culture here. And, we got a lot of those guys in that locker room right now that, have been part of winning teams, programs, cultures, and winners win. And so, we want to bring those type of individuals here to continue that culture and, really ownership from our players.
I see several players on this list that are from in-state.
Yeah.
How important was it to kind of just continue to attack Michigan and get some stay here?
Yeah, we want to make Michigan a priority, the state of Michigan. We want to own the state of Michigan, but also we talk about our recruiting footprint, which is a 5-hour radius. And I think, that was one of the reasons why I took the job here. I think Western Michigan has one of the best recruiting footprints in the country when you talk about G5 football. And, when you look at all the fertile recruiting beds that we have within a 5-hour radius, we signed 6 high school players from the state of Michigan, but we signed 16 from our recruiting footprint within a 5-hour radius. So, 16 of the 18 were in that Midwest footprint. And I think that shows to the level, the caliber of players that you can recruit here, but also, there's great high school coaches in this area and great high school programs, whether it's Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis, Louisville, Cincinnati, the state of Ohio, all of those are really good, not only places to recruit, but they're good people that are, come from great coaches and staffs.
One of the kids that's not on this list that I have been following just from the local area covering high school is Keegan McHugh, who was a walk-on, and I know that probably hits home for you. Just talk about maybe just bringing him into the fold, and I know he's a competitor first and foremost. So how excited are you to have him here?
Yeah, well, I can't speak on him, by name right now. We have several guys who are still in the process of clearing admissions, and so, one, you mentioned walk on. I can talk about that. We've done a great job really, making sure that, we've developed our walk on program since I've been here. When you look at, just our current roster, Blake Bosma and Jalen Buckley were walk-ons here. And, 2 of our best players, most productive players, all MAC players, all conference players. And, I was a walk-on. So, that's obviously a soft spot for me and a point of emphasis. We actually talked about it in our staff meetings the last couple of days. You never know who the diamond in the rough is going to be. And, I was one of those kids that just needed a chance and an opportunity. And, to me, especially here with the state of Michigan and, the high school, football here, we can find really good walk-ons that will contribute for us and play a lot of, football on the MAC. So we want to continue to do that.
Those kind of emphasis on signing
class. Eight tacklers, say that Jake Campbell this year. Is that kind of the plan moving forward at linebacker for years coming? Is going the different route?
Well, I think one of the things that you're seeing right here with this signing class is one, 18 high school signees and then 5 junior college players. I think our, coaching staff, in particular, Coach Bell did an excellent job, identifying junior college prospects. We used our bye week to go out and recruit junior colleges, myself, all of our coordinators, all of our coaches, and we signed 5 players from those trips. And, with junior college players, just like transfer players or high school, we have to bring the right ones in. Not only do they have to be good football players that match what we're looking for at that position, but also the intangibles. And the only way that you can get to know that, especially junior college and transfer, is to spend time with them, go out, watch and practice. Spend time with their position coaches, with their head coaches. We did that during the bye week. Time well spent. We're really excited about the junior college players that we added at the linebacker position specifically. Yes, we're losing 99% of our production, at that position with James Camden and Sefa Sapaya, graduating. And so we want to bring in, to further answer that question. I won't say that any of these things are answers. We want to bring in competition. You can ask any one of these recruits that we've signed. I don't believe in promising playing time. I believe in, promising the opportunity to compete for playing time. We have a lot of freshmen and newcomers playing right now. I looked at our roster right now. If you looked at signing day last year and all of our new signees or new players on this roster, we have 11 on offense that are either starting or major contributors. We have 9 on defense. So that's 20 players from last year that are, contributing major, and some of them are freshmen, some of them are junior college players, some of them are portal signees, but all of them are new Broncos that weren't here last year that, we signed just like it was today. So I think that shows the best players are going to play. We're going to bring in competition at every single position. And, I think that's how you get better as a football team, is bringing in, great players at each position. And it's also important to have those depth players, because we all know, injuries, the injury rate in football, it's 100%, and so being able to have Raheem Anderson and Hunter Whiteneck when guys go down has allowed us to be where we are right now as a football team. We're going to try to continue to do that in the way that we recruit.
It's kind of winding down in high school recruiting. We'll talk about the portal a little bit. What's kind of the general plan going forward? I'm not sure too many specifics, but moving into the portal season, obviously, it's important. It's kind of the general plan for Western.
Yeah, well, we will go out and attack, our needs. I think we identified, and, again, want to celebrate these guys here, the 18 signees and the 5 JUCO players. It really is their day. When the portal opens, we will be ready to, continue to advance our roster and make us the most competitive football team that we can.
Coach, you talked about the 5-hour radius, South Carolina, a bit outside of that. Can you just talk about the recruitment of Chris Stewart? Seems to be a very talented player, and how we Broncos ended up getting somebody from that first half.
Yeah, Chris Stewart is a really talented player, from the state of South Carolina. A couple of our coaches, Gal Perkins and Coach Payne, have been in that region of the world, coaching at Elon, had some connections down there. And really, our basis is our Midwest recruiting footprint, but the way that, recruiting works now, and especially with Huddle Film, everything being online digitally, we nationally recruit. I mean, our boards are made up of guys from all across the country. Now, our hit rate on guys that we sign are higher, because the chance to get them to campus are much better when you have local kids or regional kids, and, they're within that recruiting footprint. And so, but we nationally recruit. If you were to look at our recruiting boards, we've got, everything from, Florida to Atlanta to, Alabama to, even Colorado and even West. And so I say all that to say Chris is a guy that we're extremely excited about. Defensive end and edge rusher. He's a pass rusher. He's got great length. He's got great get off, high motor guy. Love him and his family when they came on a visit, and we just built a great relationship with him and his family. And I think that's, to me, I know everybody talks about, NIL and revenue share and, all the things, about getting players, but to me, it still starts with the relationship.
Len will throw the quarterback out there right off the bat here.
Yep.
Is this, Jackson, he threw for 3,000, he rushed for 800 over a couple of, is this like Brock Lowry 2.0 here?
Yeah, Jackson is a player we're really excited about. I mean, I think, one, he's a dual threat quarterback that, his touchdown to interception ratio was really high. I think it shows that he takes care of the football. He sees the football field really well. He makes really good decisions, doesn't put the ball in jeopardy. But he had 15 rushing touchdowns as well. And you mentioned, the total yards that he had. So he is a dual threat guy. We're really excited. I think he had a phenomenal senior year. He'll be an early enrollee that'll be here in January, and excited to get him on the ground and get started.
How many of these guys you expect to be here?
Yeah, there is seven plus our JUCOs, so 12.
And then you had really good luck with more about that. These are guys that are probably really
Yeah, we have had a lot of success with junior college players. I think one, I'll just say, I love the mentality and mindset of junior college players. I mean, they come in, they're hungry, they're humble, they're thankful for everything that you give them. Oh, we got a new pair of gloves. I mean, there's no entitlement. They want to work for everything that they're given. They're great teammates, and I think when you go the route that they go, you know that it's I've got to make my dreams happen or bust. And, that's a sobering fact, and sobering reality. And their work ethic, they understand what it takes to, the early mornings, the late nights, the extra days, to really work for everything that they've hoped and dreamed for. And so they're appreciative and thankful. We've had great success here. Again, it's about identifying the right ones. Coach Bell has done an excellent job. We kind of joke he's our resident junior college recruiter. He's done a great job. His time at Southern Miss, North Carolina, and also Arkansas State, he recruited junior colleges very heavily. That's something that in my time I had not recruited junior colleges very heavily. When you're at Stanford and Notre Dame, I didn't make many stops out there. I did at my other stops in college football, Louisville, Alabama, App State, those places. But, Walt has a great foundation of, knowing the coaches out there, knowing the recruiting coordinators, knowing which JUCOs to go to. And, I think we had a really productive bye week, and, those guys have really come in and added an element to our locker room, because they're humble and hungry that I really like. I think it's, part of that blue collar gritty mentality that we talk about, just in a different way, in a different sense.
You see a possibility of adding to this group here in the next week or so?
So we will look to add to this group. There's several other junior college players that were in the mix on that we may sign within the next coming days. I also, we will sign a couple more high school signees as we move forward, maybe whether it's between, in the next couple of days or in the second signing period.
And then line is such a critical area in college football. Got a few here. Can you talk about both sides?
Yeah, we signed 3 linemen. One, I think, Coach Pavlik and Coach Will Aarons did a great job identifying, the characteristics and traits that we were looking for at the O-line position. I think these guys fit right in there. They're tough, they're physical, they're hard-nosed, they're gritty players, great work ethic. And so I think from a high school development standpoint, and O-line is one of those positions, I think, it still is truly one of those developmental positions. Sometimes O-linemen are in your program, 2 and 3 years before they really start to grow and blossom and see the field. These 3 guys are going to really benefit a ton from Coach Bernardi and his staff. These guys, have all the raw traits and characteristics that we're looking for, but they're young moldable clay right now that, they're going to, between Coach Bernardi, our strength and conditioning program, and Katie and our nutrition program, these guys are going to make leaps and bounds in their first 6 to 12 months here on campus.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Go Broncos.
Everybody was good?